There's no denying the fact that prior to the uncultured and historical display of crass acts of thuggery by political party supporters at the palace of the Oba of Benin on Saturday last week, that there have been allegations and counter-allegations that bordered on the use of thugs and cultists in the upcoming gubernatorial election in Edo State. The allegations and counter-allegations were unarguably traded by the two major political parties in the state, which are the All Progressives Congress (APC) and the People's Democratic Party (PDP), while the APC has for the umpteenth time accused the state government of recruiting cultists of notorious history and origin ahead of the upcoming election. The state government, or rather the PDP, has in turn alleged that Comrade Adams Oshomole, the immediate past national chairman of the APC, and Captain Hosa Okumbo, a Bini billionaire, were the ones that had concluded plans to sponsor talks in the state with a view to undermine the will of the people in the forthcoming gubernatorial election. Countering the allegations levied against the leadership of the APC, the publicity secretary of the party in the state, Mr. Chris Azebawa, at a press conference in Benin City, said Governor Baseki had since his emergence as the gubernatorial flag bearer of the PDP embarked on massive recruitment of thugs and criminals, but this time officially into government. At this junction, it suffices to reiterate, as earlier mentioned, that a non-partisan and dispassionate view shows that there have been allegations and counter-allegations from both major parties in the state prior to the Makaba dance that took place on Saturday last week in the Oba Palace. Against the backdrop of the foregoing view, it can be concluded that what happened unarguably finds expression in an African proverb that says, an owl cried last night, a baby died in the morning. At this junction, it cannot be said to be specious to say that the question that is proverbially being asked by many political observers and watchers alike is, from which political camp did the owl cry from on Saturday? I think we should, in this context, leave the foregoing conundrum for the responsible security agency to unravel. To my view, it is high time talks are called to order by politicians from both political camps for the sake of our dear state, Edo, and for the fact that the world at large is watching us. According to an African proverb, if the keg of palm wine is not quickly snatched from the hands of an exuberant drunk, he may drink himself to stupor. A similar proverb also says, if an overzealous child is not assisted by his elders when roasting yams in the farm, he may innocently set the farm and the huts ablaze. There is no denying the fact that the foregoing African proverbs succinctly illustrates the repercussion of the future activities of political thugs and cultists in the state if not kept under watch, particularly now that the electioneering is going on. If these thugs that are literally rampaging ahead of the election are not in a timely manner brought under searchlight and called to order, it may create a hydra-headed security challenge that may make the results of the forthcoming gubernatorial election to be neck-deep in the germ of controversy and undue litigations. It is impossible for some unscrupulous politicians to resort to fomenting trouble instead of bravely and in the spirit of sportsmanship wait for the D-Day to show the stuff they are politically made of. To me, resorting to the use of thugs is an act of cowardice and undemocratic, apart from the need for every Edolite, irrespective of the party he or she is affiliated to closely be watching the activities of thugs in the state and reporting such to relevant authorities. There is need to caution against the abuse of power, particularly that of power of incumbency has already been witnessed by non-partisan Edolites Policy and laws should not be selfishly and obnoxiously made to unjustly checkmate aspirants that are affiliated to another parties which the governor is not affiliated to. In this case, it is expedient for traditional rulers, political leaders, and even opinion leaders in various parts of the state to bring the power that is inherent in their different positions to bear the calling, bear by bear calling all the stakeholders in the forthcoming election to order. If these political talks that have no doubt blighted the ongoing electioneering in the state are not called to order by their unknown sponsor, they may create a hydra-headed security challenge that may mar the gains that are expected from the gubernatorial elections. It is hard to grapple the fact that some unscrupulous elements in the state have resorted to fomenting trouble instead of them to wait for a free and fair election come September 19th, 2020. Ruminating over how belligerent the talks were, it will dawn on anyone that it is just a matter of time before they would turn the state upside down, even as they are boisterous enough to leave disastrous consequences ahead of the election, particularly on the D-Day. There's no denying the fact that if these talks are not stemmed at as they have the predilection of becoming tribal warlords, particularly at post-election period in the state, that they will pose a hydra-headed security challenge. Politicians that are sponsoring talks in Edo State should realize that no man would decide to rear snakes and expect not to have sleepless nights. At this junction, it is germane to say that there is need for all Edolites to ensure that the forthcoming election and other political processes are peaceful, as they are pivotal to the quality of governance that would be of betterment to all of us. Again, we should have at the back of our minds that our contributions to the ongoing political processes will, to a great extent, determine how greatly Edo State will progress or retrogress in its long-term democratic development. We should not forget that the most fundamental principle defining credible elections is that they must reflect the free expression of the will of the people, and this can never be attained through the act of thuggery. So me, for this election to be successful, there should be transparency, inclusiveness, and accountability, and there must be equitable opportunities to compete in the election. No politician or supporter deserves to be denied participation in the election by any thug of whatever hues. These broad principles and are buttressed by several electoral process-related obligations, as well as a number of key rights and freedoms, each of which derive from public international law. The electoral cycle approach depicts elections as a continuous, integrated process of made up of building blocks that interact with and influence each other, rather than as a series of isolated events. Never should we allow thugs and their sponsors to thwart our efforts in ensuring that Edo is highly reckoned with in Nigeria's political equation. Well, I just believe that this is a long story, very, very long story. Who are the people that will be advised? The people that are supposed to be advising the masses, that are supposed to be coordinating the masses, coordinating the public in the direction they need to go. They are the ones using these people, and they are the ones creating talks. What is the meaning of talks? What is the how come we have talks all around? How come that the talks are now part of and parcel of our life, our system? What is, it started from somewhere. Because let me tell you, you cannot have a medical doctor, you cannot have somebody who is really hardworking, you cannot have somebody who is an electrician, you cannot have somebody who is a plumber, who has already gotten enough job on his hands. You cannot have somebody who is an hairdresser. You cannot have somebody who is a tailor. You cannot have somebody who is a barber, who that the customers are waiting for him all over the place, that the customers is overwhelmed with customers. You cannot have somebody who is a farmer, who is always looking on how to improve his farming products. You cannot have somebody who is a teacher. You cannot have a responsible person who is doing one or two things. You cannot have somebody who is a market woman, a market man, who is thinking of how to turn to turn his profit double. You cannot have somebody who is doing his own thing, very serious with his own thing, busy with his own thing, that will make profits, that will be able to make him put food on the table of his, to put food on his table, to be able to feed his family. You cannot have all of those people who are busy doing tremendous things. A lecturer or a professor, name it, will not say we want to resort to thuggery. It's not possible. What is causing all these things? Unemployment. What is causing this thing? No proper plan for these people. That is why anything available, they want to jump at it. We know that we have those who, even at that, as those who we have spoken about, they do their own in a different manner. Okay, maybe they are going to be induced. Okay, go and get this for us. Talk to these people. But this issue of thuggery, it goes beyond all of this. And mind you, this is not the first time. This is not because of election that this thuggery thing is coming up. It has always been. So this is just an opportunity for them to be used this election period. So it is not only even Edo State, it is across board, and everybody, the whole world is saying, how do we develop? And these people that are using these talks, they are well exposed, they are well endowed, they know what is happening, but they cannot even involve their children. But this is the kind of thing that they want, because using thuggery is act of a cowardice, because you believe that if you cannot get it the way you want, in a proper way, you just have to use force to get it. That is what is bringing all of this. And nobody is even talking on how to eradicate this whole thing. When we talk about Boko people, the reason why this whole thing started, because of lack of good policy, lack of putting good plans for the people. You talk about Amajiri, you talk about all the things they're doing. Now, they are creating Operation Safe Corridor. These are the things they were ought to have done. Put the right things in place so that even those Boko people will not be able to recruit people. Because when you see people who are already busy, who are doing tremendously well, of course, not that there will be no crime. It will be so minimal that it will not be a lucrative thing. The people who are joining them will not be encouraged to do that. But when you look everywhere, no hope, nothing. No government gives you listening ears. No government sends you. No, they don't bother about your welfare. It is not everybody that will have that boldness or that have that mind to say, no, I'm going to hold on no matter what. It's not everybody. So, and the politicians are not saying it. At this period of time, they will love it. They will like it. They are not even planning or looking for a way to eradicate all of these things. See the shenanigans, everything. Even at high level, they have their own thuggery way of doing things. Somebody who is not qualified will want to go there to get the power by all means. What does that say, one? What does that mean? It is all about greed. When they get the power, they can't even use the power judiciously. They can't use it well. So it's a very, very big problem that the politicians are not even aware of. At this age and time, in this 21st century, we are still involved in thuggery, in ballot snatching. Oh my God! You remember what happened in Bayelsa and Kogi election? It was a shame. So guys, I don't want to say much. I know you all know what is happening in this country. I don't know what you think you can do by eradicating these habits. Leave your comment below and let's have your take.